Hello everyone, welcome back to the Alright Talk Show. This week I have two guys who decided to start a property business, build a brand and invest in themselves all before the age of 20. Harley and Guy from Premium Property, thanks for coming on the show. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're great. Cheers for having us on, Shane. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, very welcome. So let's get stuck in. So who are you guys and what exactly do you do in property? So we'll start with you, Harley, if you want to lead the way.
Yeah, cool. So obviously we're Harley and Guy, and in property we're deal packagers. So we pretty much we got into property in September 2019. So it's quite a while back now. We were still doing our A levels at the time, and we both just had a passion for business. So we were researching different things. And then Guy came across Samuel Leeds, who he's not got the greatest reputation anymore, but yeah, that's what initially got us into property. And yeah, we both just sort of couldn't stop watching videos on it, really. And then it sort of developed. We were just learning and documenting what we were doing. And then we both, from speaking to other people, we figured out that deal packaging probably would be the best route to go down, because we eventually want to invest for ourselves and we want to go into property development, and obviously refurbishing properties is the closest thing to that. So that's why we went with deal packaging down the buy, refurbish, refinance route as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do at the moment. Pretty much our what we do on a day-to-day. In terms of my side, I literally just, because of COVID, we're working with someone else to do our viewings at the moment, but ideally we want to go up there ourselves. So we're operating in Yorkshire, but yeah, my day-to-day is pretty much booking viewings, offering on properties, following up on offers. That's like the main things that I do. And then on Guy's side, it's just speaking with new clients that are investors and building up that side of the business. So obviously when we do find a deal, we have an investor to match it with.
Nice, fantastic, guys. Yeah, that's cool stuff. And it's like you probably get this all the time, but like it's really cool how you guys are like, you've gone straight into property, like it's, you know, you still doing your A levels at the time. And like when I was doing my A levels, I think my only concern was, what am I drinking this weekend?
Yeah,
It's crazy. But so like, next question will be for Guy. So do you two go to school, or what forms the business relationship? How did you guys know you wanted to go into property together?
Yeah, so obviously me and Harley we were in the same school, and then we moved on to A levels, and we kind of within the same school within that. And me and Harley were friends before A levels, but we just weren't really that close. But when we did get into sixth form, we got a lot closer, which was really, really good. And then we both kind of shared a passion for just business in general. We both knew we kind of wanted to start something, because me a bit more than Harley, but we still weren't the biggest fans of school. So we kind of looked to get something different out of the way. So that was kind of the first press. And then obviously we found property, and obviously that just grabbed our attention significantly. We just learned so much since like now, and it's just been really, really good. But yeah, essentially we just really found it, and we found it really, really interesting. And here we are today. So yeah, I don't know if Harley's got much more to add.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like Guy said, we were both interested in business, and naturally we just spoke more. And yeah, in terms of the actual forming a business together, we thought we're both interested in property. We've both got similar visions and goals, so we may as well form the business. I mean, we didn't know at the time whether we would be we'd be compatible as business partners, but that's something that we've sort of developed as we've gone on. And progressed within the business. So yeah.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Is just like kind of just go for it and see if it works, and if it does. And obviously, you guys seem to work with each other. You're not chalk and cheese, you're bread and butter, aren't you? So you kind of just like you work together perfectly, from what I can see, anyway, which is great. So, like, what are you guys studying at school? Is it anything that could help with what you're doing now, or completely different?
Yeah. So the only real thing so I was studying psychology, media, and business, and Guy was doing sociology, media, and business. So it's pretty much the same subjects, and obviously business is sort of naturally we were both interested in that, and it did help in some aspects. But I think in terms of obviously the real side of business, it's a lot more theory based than how business actually works. It doesn't actually, it teaches you more sort of how to work in a business rather than start your own. So yeah, in terms of how a business operates, it worked quite well. And the other two, not so much. Maybe media in terms of the content creation side of things, but even then we didn't do an awful lot. Don't know if you want to add anything on that, Guy.
Yeah, so obviously I kind of did very similar lessons to Harley, but I wouldn't say too many of them gave me too much of a benefit. I think with business that gave me more of a economic side of things, which was I found really, really helpful in terms of the market and whatnot. But like Harley was saying, a lot of it is just when you're working in a business, there's not a lot you can actually take from it. Like we learned loads of theorists, and that just doesn't come in like now. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, I learned most of my stuff just in my free time. And again, I didn't really see it as a chore because I've really, really enjoyed it. And obviously, I forgot to mention, but with me and Harley, we kind of knew we wanted to set up a business, but we didn't really know what avenue to go down, and that was probably the most annoying thing. But when we finally found property, obviously, we jumped into it then. But I think we can both say now that the business we're doing now is significantly different to what we learned in the classroom. So it's very, very different.
Yeah, totally agree, guys. Because you know what, I was actually talking to one of my previous guests. You might know him on Instagram. He's Ryan, and it's Making Money Simple. He's got a really cool Instagram account, and he's talking about finances and the school education system. Sorry, and he was just saying like the business. He did business at school. I did business at school, but it's just theory stuff, and it's nothing that's really that helpful in the real world. And it's like what you said, Guy, reading books because you enjoy it, and that's how you learn like actual business, by reading books, going into business, just learning as you go. So I just don't think the education system's that great for business. And you guys have recently come out of the education system, and yeah, like, would you say? I'm guessing it's still the same then, isn't it? Really, you don't really learn proper practical stuff.
No, yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. I mean, I probably can't even remember the majority of what we learned in business, to be fair. But yeah, like Guy said, we just learned like about sort of theorists that were from like the early 1900s, which obviously some like actual business owners from them probably still have lessons that are applicable today, but in terms of theories it's probably a bit outdated. And yeah, we just learned like the questions in the exams and stuff, they were just pointless things, and in terms of answering it from like a real life business perspective, you probably would have failed the exam. So yeah, it's it definitely wasn't, in terms of actually learning business in the classroom and applying it to real life, it wasn't that good, to be fair. So yeah.
What I think they should do is, I think they should, in schools, they should get someone. This is what I said to Ryan. They should get someone in who's got a successful business and is running one. And if they're wealthy enough and they've got free time and they're bored, they come in. They still get paid for it, and they teach you how to actually run a business, the failures and the successful parts of business, and all that sort of stuff, and really give really practical examples. And I think
Yeah.
that would really help a lot. Or maybe you guys, you know, in a few years' time, you could go back to your college or school or wherever you went, and I don't know, would you be comfortable in doing that, Guy?
Me more or less probably not, because I'm not that great when it comes to public speaking. But I know Harley's quite interested down that road. I mean, I'd love to go back and see everyone, but in terms of public speaking, it's not on my number one to do list.
Your YouTube videos are pretty good though. Do you find when you do YouTube videos you're quite confident, or?
Yeah, it's definitely different because obviously it's just me and a camera. But again, I don't know if this is the same with you, Shane, when you first started doing some of your just videos in general. But when I first started, my videos were awful. It used to take me so long to do videos, and even then they were just dreadful. And I mean, if you look at my first video, it was just awful. There was no enthusiasm behind it, and again, I'm not perfect now, but there's definitely improvement there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of YouTube, I do enjoy it. Just those mistakes that can get quite annoying, but it's just you, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it does come with practice. Practice makes perfect, doesn't it, over time? So yeah, that's definitely something that I've seen you guys get better at anyway. So yeah, really good stuff. So let's talk about property sourcing then in general. So there's a lot of property sources out there, as you guys know. There's a bit of competition. From what I've seen, you guys are doing it really well. You're doing it properly. Some of the investor packs that are going out that you kind of sort of post about look really good, really well designed. But let's get it out in the air about property sourcing, because you see these big investors and property trainers say, yeah, just do property sourcing like it's easy. And it's not easy, is it? Let's be honest, guys. So let's talk about this, because I can see you shaking your head already, Harley.
Yeah, and I mean, I've spoke about this so many times because it's just something that I'm really passionate about, because obviously we're trying to do it the right way, and there is so many people who don't. And obviously, like you said, there's so many trainers who make it out to be something you can just go and do and just do it as like a hobby, and make sort of £5,000 a month from it. But that's really not the case, and I'd probably say it takes at least 6 months to build that good flow of deals. And then obviously, even once you've got that, you've got to deal with investors, which is a whole different side of it. Obviously, me and Guy are lucky that there's two of us to sort of delegate that between. But obviously, so for example, in terms of our business, we started it. We didn't really start actually pursuing deals until probably August last year. But in terms of, we set the business up in September, just because in September 2019, just because we wanted to do that straight away. But from then until now, we've only really sort of found out what it is exactly that we should be doing to be moving the business forward. And actually, we're in a position where we're confident that we could find a good number of deals and sell them to our investors. Probably last month is the only time that we were really confident that we could do that. Before that, it was all just learning and adapting. Like, our business has changed so much, probably from March when the first lockdown hit. That's when we first started putting more of our time into the business, obviously, because we'd finished school then. So from then until now, the business has probably changed drastically at least 5 times, and that's just through trial and error, trialing lots of different things. So yeah, I think it's definitely a lot harder than these gurus make out. And it's so, a lot of you see a lot of people that sort of come onto Instagram and say they're property sources, and in a few months they're gone, because obviously they realize how hard it is then. So yeah, it's definitely a long-term game, and unless you have a previous background in property, or you've sort of had a job in property before, I think if you're starting from scratch, it will take at least 6 months to a year to really get your business in a position where you can consistently be selling deals. And that's not even making like £10,000 a month. That's selling maybe one deal a month, if that. So yeah, I think sort of gone off on a bit of a rant there, but
No,
I think
good.
it's definitely a lot harder than what people make out.
Yeah, do you think that will possibly put new sources off because of the fact that you guys are really transparent, which I think's which is great. And on any and whatever you do, and transparent for me is like a big thing. So do you think that would put potential wannabe sources off because you guys they're watching your content and they realise that it is hard work and they do have to put the effort in, so they maybe be put off by it? Or has anybody messaged you to say, is it actually really this hard? Have you had anybody reach out to you on that sense?
I think we get more people reaching out to us just asking like how to get started, and the majority of the time the way I answer that question is just sort of be prepared to work hard, and that it's not easy. So I don't know obviously it depends on why you're getting into it, because if the people have seen a few videos saying it's easy and they're just getting into it because they want to get rich quickly, and then they probably will put them off. But if they do have a genuine interest in property and they're looking for a way to get into it, because obviously sourcing is a relatively low startup cost. It does take a lot of time and effort, but if somebody was interested in property, then it probably wouldn't put them off because it is a good way to get into it. So that's probably what I'd say on that.
Yeah, great answer, perfect. So cool. We'll move on to Guy next. So I wanted to ask you about working with investors and what that's been like for you guys so far, and have you had much traction? And because obviously it's one thing, obviously finding and sourcing the deals, but then you've got the whole other side to it, which is the investor side. So what's that been like?
Yeah, definitely. And this is when it definitely comes in handy to have two people in the business, because obviously Harley's doing the deals and I'm doing the client relations. And I mean, it's been really, really good in the fact that obviously we kind of started in March, but obviously due to lockdown, we weren't really able to meet face to face with anyone, which was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I think a lot of people have this misconception that if you're young in property, you can't really do too much. So the fact that they couldn't see us face to face was actually a positive, because they didn't actually know us, but they just kind of judged us off our knowledge. And obviously we pride ourselves in trying to know as much as possible. So since then we've built up a good database. We've kind of changed and adapted to having 2 lists now. So we've got a really mass mailing list where it's just for everyone. So we put that deal out, but then we also have like a premium list. So these are just clients where they get early access to deals, access to our power team. But in order for them to do that, we just have to build up a personal relationship, because we feel that's the best way to do it. And again, when we don't find deals, I let them know, because obviously the market's a bit weird, so they're all already good about it. And I think that's probably the best way to do it, is not have a mass mailing list just to rely on, but more or less have tons, or even just a small circle of just investors that trust, and you've built up that good relationship, really. But and then I mean, if anyone's trying to find serious investors, I think the first thing you can really do is ask them for proof of funds. And I know it's quite straight to the point, but if you both want to be quite serious about it, then that's kind of what you need. So obviously you need the proof of funds. We obviously get a NDA signed as well, just so we're both protected from a legal standpoint. And then we do a creditors check, which is just a background check. And basically that's kind of our process, in the fact that we vet our clients to make sure that they're good to go, in a sense, so we can just go off whenever we've found a deal. So again, that's how we kind of manage our clients. And we use Trello to kind of manage them because it's just a whole lot easier. But yeah, we found it's not been as difficult as we thought to find investors, but we think that might be down to our social media as well. Although we've utilized Facebook quite significantly, and that's been a really, really good helping hand. But again, I'm sure you've noticed if you've got investors, but right now it's just a very odd time in the market. So you kind of have to reassure your investors that, okay, deal flow might be fairly small now, but just to let you know, we're doing 20 viewings this week, so it's not like we're not doing anything, if that makes sense. So it's just keeping them updated and reassuring them, really.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's awesome. Like, you've kind of got a system of how you guys are doing it, and you're handling that pretty well from the sounds of it, anyway. And obviously, you do post about what you do, which is great. So, say you got your two investor lists. So the premium investor list, is that like where you've kind of had the proof of funds, or does both lists have proof of funds on, in terms of, because obviously when you ask people for proof of funds, the ones that send you proof of funds are the ones that are the serious ones and not the wafflers.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, to even become a premium investor for us, we just have to jump on a phone call, because it just helps build up a relationship. And when I'm kind of on a phone call with an investor, 9 times out of 10, they kind of understand why, and they're looking to move forward quite seriously. So when I talk about proof of funds, they have no problem about it. But yeah, I mean, you're right in the fact that for the mass mailing list, anyone can sign up to that, because obviously we release area guides as well, so not everyone's just on there for deals. But if you want to become a premium investor, then yeah, we do have to have proof of funds regardless. But I mean, say we put out a deal on our mass mailing list and someone was interested in it, we still have to do all the vetting as we've done for a premium client. So again, we still have to get that contract signed, get proof of funds, and the creditors check done, because it just gives us that sense of like we know what's going on and whatnot. So yeah, in a sense, to kind of get a serious investor, it's just proof of funds, really. And if they're a bit edgy about that, then you kind of just want to stay away from them, because it's just not going to be a good sign.
And it's a waste of your guys' time, isn't it? You put all that effort into creating your investor packs and your brochures and whatever, and it's just a waste of your time. It's sending it out to them when they're not serious.
Literally. This is something we kind of figured out about a couple of weeks to a month ago now, and it was in the fact that before I knew this, we were kind of just chasing the investor, like, oh, we can do this for you, we can fulfill this, but you're kind of providing the service to the investor, so you don't want to be rushing them. And like, if they're taking a week to sign a contract, what do you think it's going to be like when a deal comes up? Like, you have to make sure that you get good impressions from investors, or else it's just not going to go through well when an actual deal comes through.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So okay, so I'll just in the middle there, then let's give out just 3 top tips for working with investors. If you guys want to just say one each after another, or
okay, I'll go first. I'd always ask for proof of funds, regardless of the situation. That's probably one of the most important.
Yeah, and obviously Guy does deal with more of the investors, but I'd probably say don't put the investor on a pedestal, because, like Guy said, at the end of the day, we're providing them with a service, so we're sort of working with them, and a lot of investors, I think, get the perspective that they're better than you. So especially at the beginning, do your best not to put them on a pedestal.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last one, I think, would be focus more on quality than quantity, because I think anyone can have a really big list, but if no one's going to buy it off that list, then there's no real point in having it. Whereas if you've got a small circle of, say, 4 or 5 investors that are consistently buying from you, you've built up a good relationship, then that's kind of what everyone wants.
Yeah, I think that last tip actually is something that doesn't get said a lot, actually, and that's yeah, I 100% agree with that. Perfect. Yeah, so moving on then, you guys mentioned earlier like about the age thing. So has that caused problems in the past, or when people have found out about your age, has it a bit, some guys have been a bit like, ooh, I don't know about this, or has it been perfectly fine, and people have looked at your knowledge over your age?
Yeah, I think on the whole, it's been pretty fine. And like Guy said, obviously the majority of our investors, if they come from Instagram, they've seen that we built the brand anyway. So we've probably had those touch points, and they know that we've got the credibility. And obviously, in terms of when we're having calls, they judge us more on the knowledge and the quality of conversation that we can have, rather than our age. And yeah, I think probably the worst we've had is just a few comments from agents or builders when we've been meeting builders. But yeah, on the whole, we haven't had too much negativity because of our age. And yeah, I think again, in terms of the agents, because a lot of the work is done on the phone beforehand. So again, if you can come across as professional and sort of sound like you know what you're talking about, then the agent's a lot less likely to sort of judge you straight away because they've already had that conversation on the phone. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'd say. But yeah, on the whole, in terms of our age, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, that is awesome. Now I'm glad yeah, that people have trusted your knowledge over your age, because as long as you can do the job and to a good standard, then it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter if you're 5 or 18. But
Yeah.
could you let us have some of the juicy details of what some of the agents have said to you, if you're keen to share those?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even. I can't even remember. It was ages ago when they said it. So one of them just said, I can't even remember. Can you remember, Carl, what they said?
No, I can't remember off the top of my head, but when they initially see you, or when you're on the viewing, you do tend to get some odd looks, and sometimes when you have to ask certain questions, agents are just a bit iffy about it because they don't really think we know what we're doing. But again, it's just one of those things. Like it's not common to see someone young in property, so you can kind of understand where they're coming from, but you don't want to judge someone too quickly.
Of course, yeah.
Sorry, just to jump in. The one I can remember was just builders. They just go, as soon as they saw me, they were just like, "Oh, you're a bit young to be in property, aren't you?" But again, obviously, once you have that conversation, just sit down with them and explain what we're doing and stuff. It just sort of, then they realise that you actually do know what you're talking about. So yeah, it's just first impressions more than anything.
Yeah, like, what, it's just funny you said that, like, you're too young to be in property. That's just like the old saying that people say, you're too young to know this song. Like, what the hell? But anyway, it's all right, cool. Awesome stuff, guys. So, yeah, I'd like to know your kind of long-term plans, like 10-year plan. Let's say, for instance, what would you like to have achieved in 10 years? So, Guy, let's start with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the plan for both of us with this business now is trying to systemize it as much as possible. I feel like that's like the next step going forward. And then probably in our early 20s, the goal is when we want to get into development. So obviously nothing big to begin with, but maybe just start small, and then hopefully we can scale that, because obviously with developments you can scale that from really small to massive developments, so that's really, really exciting. But yeah, I think that's everything in terms of like business, and the fact that we just want to scale this and then move on to developments. But yeah, in terms of personal, I do a bit of trading in terms of stocks, whether that's, I don't know, some day trading or long term investing. But yeah, I want to grow that up quite substantially, and then also have some properties but for myself as well, hopefully to get the first one around early 20s and whatnot, so that will hopefully give me a good base mark. But yeah, that would kind of be everything in terms of 10 years. I can't put exact figures on everything, but hopefully to have a good enough size portfolio and be quite well on our way in terms of developments.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Harley?
Yeah, so similar. I don't really like to think too specific in terms of like years away, because it's more of sort of what I want my life to look like and the business to look like more than anything. And then obviously we set the specific goals for the year and the quarters. But yeah, similar to Guy, obviously we want to, in terms of the sourcing business, we want to just grow that as much as possible, and yeah, just systemize that, and obviously just have it sort of running on its own without our input. And then yeah, we just want to both get into developments, and yeah, that's just sort of like my ideal day, really, just going up and checking on all the sites that we've got going on, because I think that's where most of my interest comes with property, on the refurbishment side of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then obviously personal as well, want to own a few properties, and I want to have different businesses. I always get sort of like you were saying before, Shane, about just getting loads of ideas. I always get so many ideas for different businesses, and I'm like, oh, that'll be one for 5 years time, and things like that. So yeah, obviously having a few different businesses would be great as well. And I think one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I still really would love to do, is just be able to, whether that's on my own or working with others, just be able to help kids that are from sort of an underprivileged background, and help them to start their own businesses, or even employ them in our business, and sort of just show them that you can make money through other ways. Obviously, from a sort of underprivileged background, a lot of kids go into selling drugs and things. So obviously just trying to show them other ways other than that, without having to go and get a job. So yeah, that's something that I'd really like to do as well.
That's absolutely amazing, and I didn't know that, actually. So that's really cool. Is that something you'd maybe consider doing, like employing someone who's your age now, maybe in the next 5 years, if obviously you guys are like premium properties, booming, and you can get a couple of guys and girls in, so you can show them the ropes and business and stuff for the next 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. And even if someone has like a business idea, just being in a position to be able to just take a punt on them, and even if we lost the money, just being able to invest that without them necessarily having the pressure of working with an investor. It's more of a case of, look, you can just have this money, and I believe in you, because obviously we started young, so we'd probably see ourselves in them. So yeah, just being in a position to be able to do that, really, as well.
Awesome, because that's kind of like what I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's Peter Jones does that, doesn't he? He gets young entrepreneurs and they come up with their ideas, and then he gives them money, and then he kind of selects a winner or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, Guy, you mentioned stocks and shares. How is that going for you at the moment, and how long have you been investing in that sense?
Yeah, no, it's going really, really well. And I kind of started in, I think it was either late August or early September. And it was just quite interesting. I didn't want to do too much into it, because obviously property is kind of the main thing I wanted to go down. But yeah, I mean, over the past couple of months, it's been really, really good. The markets have been, I mean, for the stocks I invest in, I do mainly EVs, so like electrical vehicles and whatnot, and they've just gone crazy recently. So very lucky on that sense. It's only been a couple of weeks since I decided to start day trading a bit. Well, really last week, and that's taken my interest a bit. But yeah, I mean, the thing about stocks is the returns are just like phenomenal. Like, again, my return isn't significant, but I'm at around a 35-40% return from September, which I thought was all right considering my money was doing nothing anyway. But I mean, if you can time things correctly, you could be looking at like 500% returns. It's very, very interesting, but again, it's very risky. So you need to make sure you know what you're doing. But that's kind of why you want to diversify between stocks and property, because obviously you can't really go wrong with both.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not just about diversifying within the stocks and share sector, is it? It's like diversifying property, diversifying commodities, cryptocurrencies, and having exposure in all asset classes.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that.
I mean, I didn't even think Bitcoin was going to do that well this year, but it's just gone absolutely crazy this year. And again, I'm not too up to date or a massive fan of cryptocurrency. I just think there's a lot of hype behind it. But I mean, it's proven this year that it's been exceptional. And I mean, the same goes for gold. I think it started quite well at the end of last year, but it's fallen a bit now. But exactly like you said, you just need to be diversified in all aspects of investing, not just properties and individual stocks and whatnot.
Absolutely. And just talking on gold as well, you mentioned that it was low. But for anyone that's listening, if gold's low, it's the time to buy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
When it's low. So, cause I'm a big fan of gold personally. I invested in it myself, and I just love that it's like a tangible asset because you can physically touch the gold, and it's like, when you were a kid and you think gold just are in these big vaults, but you can just buy it and get it sent to your house. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good feeling having it in person, but until it comes and you realize how small the bar is for how much you pay for it, it's crazy. But again, it's still really, really cool to see it. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Cool. So we'll just do, let's say, for instance, 2 tips from yourself, Guy, then from you, Harley, and then and the tips will be advice for others, and it can be anything from your sourcing to starting up a business and mindset, anything you like.
Do you want to go first, Harley? It might take me a while to think.
Yeah, so I'll do one for starting a business and then one for property. So for starting a business, I would make sure that you have clear sort of if you've got a business partnership, have try from the offset to have regular catch-ups and clear roles. So you, in a way, then your business has some sort of structure, and that way you can work off it. And obviously, in terms of when the business grows, you're going to develop more roles and you'll realize what needs doing more than other things. But yeah, if you can try and work out what you both prefer doing and do that and split your roles that way, I'd try and do that as soon as possible. And then in terms of property sourcing, I would say this is something that we've realized in the last few months. Just get out there and do as many, obviously don't view properties for the sake of it, but just do as many viewings as possible, because so we changed areas. We were working in Northampton before, and now we've moved to Yorkshire. And in Northampton, we couldn't do that many viewings because the properties weren't stacking. Whereas in Yorkshire, we can up the volume of viewings. And obviously that means we can get a lot more deals, because obviously there's a phrase, properties and numbers game. So yeah, I'd try and make sure that you pick an area where you can do at least sort of, obviously it depends how much time you've got, but I'd probably pick an area where you can do at least 10 viewings a week. And yeah, that's probably my top 2 tips.
Yeah, really awesome. Yeah, amazing tips. Guy, you going to top that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite hard to do. So mine are fairly basic, but I think they're really, really important. And the first one is probably building a brand. And essentially that's just getting yourself out there, because I think building a brand is one of the most important things in this day and age in terms of business now, because if no one knows who you are, then you're not going to become too successful. But yeah, so I think building a brand is very, very important. You just do that with consistency and just documenting everything, because the amount of investors and people we've had come to us based off our brand has just been incredible, really. So that's the first one. And then the second one, fairly similar, but I'd be heavily focused on building relationships, because 5, 10, 15 years later down the line, you don't know what they're going to be able to do for you. And again, it doesn't even have to be that long. For example, if you build up a good relationship with someone, they could recommend you to one of their friends and whatnot. So again, just building up those relationships really helps with word of mouth, and it just helps grow your business. So that would be my top 2 tips.
Perfect. Yeah, amazing tips, guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm sure them tips will really help people out for sure. Cool. So this brings us to the part of the show where I ask my guests 3 random questions. So I'll ask both of you then, but obviously we'll do Harley, you first, then Guy, and then Harley, Guy. So question number 1 is favorite movie.
Oh, that's a tough one. The first one that comes to mind is Wolf of Wall Street, because I think that was, obviously it's not like the real world in business, but that was one of the things that sort of got me initially interested in the business world. Other than that, I can't really think of any other films to be fair.
It's a good
So
film.
yeah, I'll probably go with that one. Yeah.
I think you might have stole Guy's answer, because hasn't Guy got a post for that?
Yeah, I've got a post. Yeah, I do. I'll go for something different, but I'll keep it on the business topic. The Big Short. So when they kind of shorted the housing market in 2008, that's a really good film. It doesn't sound very interesting, but it's a really, really good film. So
Anyone that is in business and they like property and stock market, whatever, yeah, it's actually like the first time I watched it, I watched it and I was like, what the hell just happened? Didn't understand a word of what was going on. But, I watched it again. I Googled the terms and the words, and like I've watched it like a few times since, and it's like, I love it now. It's amazing. It's a really great movie.
yeah.
Cool, guys.
Sorry, I've just thought of a film which I watched recently and it was really good. The Gentleman. This
Awesome
came out last year, I think, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that's a class film. Guy Ritchie, right? Director. Yeah, class movie. Cool. Question number 2 is favorite destination.
Is this for holidays?
Anywhere, could be your house, could be Turkey. I don't know.
Is this where we've been to, or the ideal location?
Let's say where you've been to.
So, ideal destination for me. Again, it's hard. Have you got one, Guy? I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Mine would probably be, it was a couple of years ago I went now, but I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a very small island. It's St. Lucia, and it's in the Caribbean. It's really nice, very tropical. That would probably be my ideal place to go.
Retire, yeah? Yeah, retire there.
Yeah, always.
Harley, are you stuck?
For me, I'd probably say it might just be because we haven't really been able to leave the country this year, but probably just Cornwall, because yeah, there's just like, obviously it's just like a really relaxing place, great beaches. So yeah,
You
good
know what's funny? I just had this in my head. I was like, I bet he's going to say somewhere shit like Cornwall. Cornwall's not. Just for the record, though, people listening, Cornwall's not shit. I've been to a beautiful place, but compared to St. Lucia,
Yeah.
Love it. All right, and final question. I'll put you out your misery. Is name something that grinds your gears, and we'll go with you, Guy, first, if you like.
Yeah. So again, this is very specific, but it's the people on social media who claim they're getting like £2,000 an hour, and they want to teach you how to do it for free. And or just people in general that just are too heavily focused on money, and they think it's everything to do with life. And I can't stand people like that personally.
Yeah, you're not the first to say that on the show. Cool. Harley?
Can I say two?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, so the first one is just like rude people on social media. We get so many messages of people who they'll just ask, like, they'll just ask a question without saying anything, like, oh, how do I analyze deals? And it's just really blunt, and it just makes you not want to reply to them, because like just pick out something from their page and say you like it, and then say, oh, I'd love to be able to pick your brains on this, and you'll get such a better response. So yeah, and a lot of people just ask way too intrusive questions as well. So that's the first one.
What's your bank balance?
Yeah. And then the second one is people that sort of, obviously we were sort of talking about this before the podcast, people that just promote like a toxic culture of working 24/7 and you can never take a break. And I think even as sort of when you're in the entrepreneur world and as entrepreneurs, you do sort of think that yourself, but obviously it's good to take a break and just relax, even if it's for half an hour, and just clear your head, because like we touched on earlier, it is hard starting any business, so you do need to take those breaks from time to time.
Yeah, because as entrepreneurs, as you know, guys, we don't switch off, do we? Our mind's forever working. It's like a steam engine that just doesn't stop.
Yeah. And even when you try and switch off, you do, like, I'll be having a conversation with my girlfriend or my dad, and my mind will just be in a completely different place, and then they'll be like, oh, what did I just say? And then I just snap out of it, and I'm like, oh, and then just have no idea what they said.
Every day for me, every day I'll be chatting to someone and it'll be the same. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's so bad, but yeah, no, it happens to all of us. So we're not alone. For anyone else who's listening, I'm sure you agree with this too. But yeah, amazing, guys. So yeah, we'll just finish off then, just to say, like, how can everybody get in touch with you? And obviously, don't just message them and ask what they're having for breakfast. Like, how can you get in touch?
Yeah. So in turn, the best place is Instagram, because that's where we're most active. So that's just Premium Property Ltd on Instagram. And then obviously we've got a YouTube channel, which is Harley and Guy Premium Property. They're probably the best two ways to sort of find us and obviously interact with our content. Other than that, Facebook and LinkedIn's just Harley Edwards and Guy Pennell on both. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there then. And I just want to say a massive thank you, guys, for coming on the show, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Shane. Really, really enjoyed it. It was a great chat.
Awesome. All right, cool. So that's been the All Right Talk Show, and I will see you guys next week. Ciao for now.